Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance Podcast, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network for any and all things Star Wars. I'm one of your hosts, as always, Katie Rinchler, and joining me, as always, my illustrious co-host, the co-host of many podcasts, Clay. Clay, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. I have my one and only. No, I have two Star Wars shirts. This one I felt was very appropriate for those who are listening instead of watching. I'm not going to give it away yet. But of course, if any of us have seen episode 5 of course, the Book of Boba Fett, we all know what happened. We all know what we're going to be talking about today. But it was so fun. The news in the past week has been kind of crazy and surprising. Just a small little inkling of the news that we're going to talk about. The Lego Star Wars trailer dropped.
Ah!
And the very first thing Katie said in our GOA chat was, "Oh crap, they made it complicated." So in fact, I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about the casting news that we've gotten for Ahsoka and everything else. So really, really happy to be here tonight.
Yes, me too. We've got a lot to talk about. And we do have a special guest today. Illustrious senior critic of Full Circle Cinema and one of my good friends, James Poole. James, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's really nice to be super into a Star Wars thing again, because in terms of the more mainstream stuff like The Mandalorian, I was into it, but it wasn't my absolute favorite. So the Book of Boba Fett has been heaven for me. And then we get this episode, and there's a lot to talk about. So I'm really flattered to be on here, really excited to dig into Star Wars and give a sort of more casual fan's perspective.
Yeah, when you've been like in our group chat, it's been nice to see like you get excited about something Star Wars. So it's like, okay, like I gotta get James on here at some point. And then you were like, well, I can come this week. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So here you are. But y'all, before we get into episode discussion or any of the news we have, we gotta hit the podcast paperwork side of things. So first things first, like I said, Star Wars Alliance is a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network where we have 8 shows, 7 days a week. You've got Slice of Film currently on hiatus. Then on Monday, that's on Sundays. You've got Ranger Alliance as well as World's Finest True Believers. Tuesdays, you've got DC Alliance. Wednesdays, superhero discussions. Thursdays, our day, it's Star Wars Alliance Day. And then Fridays, you've got Marvel Alliance. And then every other Saturday, you've got a walk through the multiverse. So those are our shows. We do also have a Patreon where we have 2 tiers. The $1 tier helps keep the Kyber crystals charged around here. And the $5 tier gets y'all, ad-free episodes, exclusive episodes, and any early episodes we may drop. Marvel Alliance just dropped their first Patreon exclusive, which is a rewatch of Captain America and the Agent Carter. That's her name. One shot. So you can go check that out on Patreon right now. As I've said previously, I'm going to be doing a comics corner for Star Wars as well as a legendary Star Wars conversations to talk about legend Star Wars books that I'm reading. So those are the ones you can check out if you're interested in some Star Wars content. This the network is an ad-supported network unless you're on Patreon, of course. So we do appreciate you listening to the ads, and we will give you a warning before those occur. But just so y'all know now, we don't get to choose who the ads are from, nor how loud they are, nor how many times you hear the same ad in the same episode. So that warning is just to kind of help you prepare those volume levels. We do appreciate you listening to the ads as they do help support the podcast and the network as a whole. And last, I think last. Oh no, if we finally have 2 entries in our giveaway, Clay. We do.
Yes, we do. Yes, I want to thank personally S-Bubs here in the chat. And of course, Charlie, who is a very, very fond listener of the GUA and Geekverse podcast networks. He did submit his review in, I think it was either yesterday or the day before. So thank you, Charlie. Again, guys, Nathan is in the chat. He needs 10 people in order to even be entered into this contest. Of course, Nathan being our third wheel, of course, the OG Star Wars Alliance host. and we thought it would just be unfair if his name would just plop in there and then him win, you know. So
Right.
we need 10, at least 10 entries for that 11th contender of Nathan being in there. But yes, we do have a contest from Organic Price Books, of course. The oh shoot, words. You know what?
Old Republic
Speaking
Legends
of
Volume 1.
words, I just want to say, have you two been hooked on Wordle as much as I have recently?
Yes.
It is so dumb. I know it's dumb. I know it's dumb. I know it's just one of those things that happens like throughout, like there's a new trend that always happens like every 5 years or so, and there's a new game. It happened with Flappy Bird. Now there's Wordle. Like it's so stupid, and I'm figuring out in the sense of like how like I cannot think of 5-letter words. Like
Yeah.
it's like I've never even understood English whenever those like blank bars are there. I'm just like But anyway, words. Organic Price Books is of course the sponsor. That's the word I was looking for Marvel Alliance here on the GUA. Go to their website, use the code Marvel GUA, and you can get $2 off on every single purchase every single time you go to that website. So the book that we're giving away, though, is the Star Wars Old Republic omnibus that is out of print and you can't get it anywhere else. So please, please submit your reviews on Apple Podcasts. Send us a screenshot either at Star Wars Alliance or at Slice of Katie or to myself at Fanboy Clay, and we will enter you in for that chance to win that book. We will be choosing a winner the episode after the finale of the book of Boba Fett.
Yes. And so y'all, and another way to get an additional entry, because you do have to do the review no matter what, but a good way to get an additional entry is to retweet and like, as well as make sure you're following the Star Wars Alliance Twitter account, and you can retweet and like that pinned tweet, and that will get you entered an additional time if you've sent us the review screenshot. So with that, y'all, let's dive into some news, I'd say. Are we ready?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to go in the direction that everyone knew I was going to go in as soon as this gameplay trailer came out. Lego Skywalker Saga. It has a release date. Amazon has updated the shipping date. So April 5th. 2022. I'm taking the 6th off, at least.
You know, I am taking so many days off this year, and I'm worried that my job will start to realize, hey, wait a second, what is Clay really doing on his days off? Because I'm almost considering taking off 2 days for the Batman. I am kind of considering taking off the do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was weird. I don't know what that was. Are you sorry, James, I think it was your headphones, but that's fine. But
I think your mic fell out. Did your mic fall out?
There we go. It should be still working. Are we good?
Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. You know, technical difficulties happen all the time. But
Part of the process.
I'm exactly. I'm taking off 2 days for the Batman, possibly, to watch it premiere night, and then the same day that we're doing our review here on the GUA. With this game, with this trailer, I was expecting just kind of highlights of the old games and then kind of the newer stuff. It seems, and it is in fact, they have built this game from the ground up. New system, everything. It
And
no
I think
longer
that's what disappoints me.
it kind of no longer looks like a regular Lego game. Like,
No, it doesn't.
Mhm.
it is genuinely something that is a little bit more evolved, and I do like that. I like that this is essentially what technically you could possibly say 9 games in one, but technically they usually do the prequels, the original trilogy all by themselves. So 3 games in one. So what did you guys think of this gameplay trailer?
All right, James, you go first.
Yeah, so one of my favorite Star Wars games of all time is actually a really recent one. It's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay, yeah.
And watching this trailer, I felt like this sort of reminds me a lot of Fallen Order in terms of the deepness of the combat. It could just be a very deceptive trailer, but just looking and hearing about all these combos gets me giddy. I love nothing more than to have to really get in and learn the specifics of lightsaber and blaster combat. So
Mhm.
that alone has me hooked. Now, when you throw on these beautiful visuals and also this massive open world, I mean, did y'all count how many
Oh
locations
my
there were?
gosh.
It was
It's so many planets.
way in the double digits.
Mhm.
So just in terms of content alone and stuff to do and the complexity of it all, I'm hooked. This wasn't even a game I had on my radar because I thought it was just going to be a collection of the
Mhm.
other ones. But now, yeah, it's easily one of my most anticipated Star Wars games.
Yeah, SPub says the combat reminds me a little bit of Spider-Man PS4 for some reason. And I do
Cool.
have to agree when they highlighted the fact that there's going to be like actual combos to your fighting
Mm-hmm.
styles and how the shooting of the blasters is not just going to be very like, hey, kind of open analog how it used to be. No, you can
Right.
have an over-the-shoulder camera aiming at everything and it looks great. I now need Star Wars to do Battlefront Lego. That's what I need.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
that could
That
be
would be
cool.
amazing. That would be crazy with the amount of Legos just flying everywhere. But I think it would be hilarious. Um, Katie, what about you? What was some highlights that you took from this trailer?
So y'all, just to kind of put in perspective how much of a game I got a PS4 because I was like, okay, I've graduated college, I can do some gaming now. And I got this Spider-Man PS4 collection, and then I tacked on Jedi Fallen Order. I have gotten 17% of the way through Jedi Fallen Order before I quit and was like, this is terrible. I'm doing absolutely terrible, like can't do it. And I got like 0.03% through Spider-Man PS4 because I don't understand the combo thing. Like I'm just used to being able to like tap X twice and that gets me like a lightsaber like smash thing. And so it's like the combos really scare me because I'm going to get lost and I'm going to forget things. And I know the screen's going to be right there, but it's also like okay, now I've got to like aim the blaster whereas like I used to just be able to like turn and like just shoot and sometimes it would land, sometimes
I
it wouldn't.
do think that the best thing about because we were talking about it even in the Geekverse Discord. Guys, go
Mhm.
check them out. We talk video games, we talk movies, we talk all sorts of stuff in that Discord. But we were talking about how sometimes Lego can be very simplistic, and that is not a bad thing whatsoever because usually Lego games are rated E for everyone. They're for the
Mm-hmm.
family. You know,
Right.
you have your children play them, and it is honestly a game that you can give children to be like, hey, this is your starter video game. This is something that kind of introduces you to gaming, and then the concepts will get kind of crazier as you evolve in your gaming, I guess, experience. With this, though, I do think that there are going to be settings to be able to have like aiming assist. So
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact that in, I believe, I don't play a lot of the Lego games. The last two Lego games that I played was, I think, Lego Avengers 2 and the Lego Batman 3. I
Mm-hmm.
know that recently I got the Lego DC Villains game for free on PS4, but I haven't played a whole lot. But I do know in those games, whenever you have to, for Spider-Man, shooting the webs, or for Batman throwing the batarangs, or Captain America throwing a shield, when you throw it, it does let you like guide the analog to like lock onto things, and then you can throw them.
Okay.
So I still think that they're going to have some of those concepts in here to make sure it doesn't completely alienate those who did like the way Lego games have played before. Like, I don't think that they would completely just be like, nah, forget all those people. You need to evolve with the gaming, industry as it is in 2022,
That's my problem. I don't want to evolve. Like, I like Mario Kart. Like, y'all, I'm in the middle of like 100%ing Lego Harry Potter Part 2, which is like 5 through 7, because I'm just like, I'm very simple with my games, and Matt likes to make fun of me all the time for it. Like, I can't believe you, because like he sat there watching me play Spider-Man, and I was like, and I kept failing, and I kept dying at the first boss, and it was miserable.
S-Bubs brought the exact same thing that I was going to bring up. There is a mumble mode, so every single character will just start mumbling instead of actually speaking their dialogue, which I think is absolutely hilarious, because that is just one of the key things from Lego.
Yes.
But if they have something like that, there is going to be simplified controls as well.
Please.
I am really excited about this. I think one thing that I got really excited about is the option for the deluxe edition. The only thing now that my beautiful and loving wife got me for my birthday was an Xbox. I have now been privileged with having a PS5, an Xbox Series X, and a Switch. Now I just need to decide, what am I going to play on? Because one thing also is, they didn't outright say it in the trailer, but if you go onto like the gaming screen of either Steam, or if you go like try to pre-order it somewhere, it does say, online co-op. And I'm not entirely sure if they say couch co-op, but I know couch co-op is one of the bigger things for them as well.
Couch co-op has always been a thing with Lego.
Exactly. So I am sure that they are going to have couch co-op available to us. For me, though, I guess this could be a game that I could introduce, because Abby's been wanting to like get her feet wet in gaming. I think Lego is the best way to go.
Yes. 100%.
But I would also like to play with other people. Is this going to be something that can cross platform? Can I play with somebody if I'm on Xbox and they're on PlayStation? Or if I'm on PlayStation, can I play with a Switch? I would like to know some of those things, so that way, if not, then I can definitely say, okay, I have to get this game on this platform so I can play with other people. I
know, get it on PlayStation so you can play with me. Just kidding, I don't have online things.
Well, I do want to get. SPub says couch co-op is a paid DLC. Obviously, no, that's a joke.
Way.
But speaking of DLC, they have the deluxe edition that comes with Mando, Grogu, and a whole bunch of different planets and other characters to play with. This roster for this game is going to be massive.
Absolutely.
I do think that I know that it's like the Skywalker saga, but I bet you anything they're going to play with stuff from the Clone Wars. They're going to play with stuff with Rebels. They're going to play, with all sorts of these characters, and I am ready for it.
That was going to be my... Oh, sorry, Katie.
Go for it, James.
That was going to be my question, is how much stuff outside of the 9 films are we going to see in the game? Because I know that they did Lego Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars, and that technically does play a big part in the Skywalker saga, and even Mando, in a sense, does tie into the saga. So do you think that they're going to include that stuff in the game at launch, or do you think they're going to see how it does and bring it in as DLC?
I think that... Oh, go ahead, Katie. You go first.
So the DLC right now is only the character packs. As far as what Star Wars Leaks on Reddit has. So for me, but a lot of the external content is still across the planets, and they haven't really made it feel like a traditional Star Wars game with a revamp. That's literally just like you cycle through planets, and you can like play through the specific movie stories, but then there's other missions on the planet that you can go do that are external and everything, which is one thing I hate about Spider-Man. So they could have like a Rogue One, hey, go here and do this. And that's like one of the external missions, so it'll be interesting to see.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I kind of get the sense this could be something like, I'm going to give you all a deep cut real quick. The Toy Story 3 game from way back in the day, where they had an open world mode, but they also
Yes.
had just the main missions. Is that
Yes.
kind of
Yeah,
what they're doing
that's
here?
basically I think that's you kind of put it right there on the nose.
Mhm.
Cuz just like how Katie was saying, I do think that like if we go to like the rebel base,
Mhm.
although we're playing through the story of like let's say uh what would be Revenge of the Sith, you know, depending on the location, you could probably see like a random Kira there, and you're like, well, that
Yeah.
doesn't belong anywhere, but it's right there because of the planet that you're on,
Yeah.
and you're
Right.
like, okay,
Same thing with like
let's play with like the solo story for a little bit, and then you
Mhm.
go to Rogue One, like Katie was saying.
mhm. So it'll be interesting to see. I know I'm definitely gonna at least take off April 6th. Um, because mine's gonna ship to me. So I don't know when it's gonna come in Tuesday. So I'm gonna take off Wednesday. So April 6th, y'all, I'm gonna have like a first-hand experience. We're gonna just that's gonna be Lego Skywalker Saga episode of Star Wars Alliance. Screw news. That's all we're gonna talk about.
I procrastinate with games so much that I probably won't get to it until April of next year. But they're one good trailer away from me maybe getting it in May. So
Yeah, I am very much like I said, contemplating on asking off. This will definitely be a day one purchase for me.
Mhm.
I if not, having a little extra money to pre-order it beforehand. But it will be that weekend, like all day playing on the weekend for sure.
Yep.
But where do you want to go from here, Katie? Do you want to go to Ahsoka news, or do you want to go with video game route still? You want to go with video
Let's go
games?
ahead and finish the video games.
All right.
Why
So
not?
it is said that 3 more Star Wars games, including Fallen Order, the sequel, are coming from EA's Respawn Entertainment. So, from what I remember, there is a strategy based game that is included in this from the developers of XCOM. If people
Yep.
don't
Mhm.
know exactly what XCOM is, quick Google search YouTube. Very turn based and everything else, very strategy. Recently, those guys have been making the Midnight Suns game for
Mm.
Marvel. Uh, I think that is EA as well. That is something I'm very much looking forward to. And I even said it in our GOA chat. If they want to make a Sabak game, do it. I will spend hours playing Sabak. Like I
I
think that
would
would
play
be
that on my
awesome.
phone. I don't know if I'd necessarily play that console.
Oh, I would totally because so
How would
I
you
don't
put that in a How'd you put that
so
in a
so
console?
here's the thing. So Yu-Gi-Oh has been a very worldwide renowned card game that has been adapted into a console video game. Yes, you can play it on your phone, but they have adapted some
Mm,
games for the consoles. Same thing for I think it's called Gwent in Witcher.
Mhm.
That is a game where inside the Witcher game, your character can go to certain places, certain pubs, and sit down and play that game. And it's a mini game inside of that game.
okay.
The same thing would happen here. Like, I'm surprised that in the Fallen Order or any other Star Wars game that we've had, we haven't been able to play, freaking oh shoot, I forgot the Sabak.
The box.
I was like, I'm so excited about it, and I forgot the name. I'm surprised there hasn't been a Sabak mini game inside of a game. So that's usually how they're introduced, and if they get really popular, because that's what happened with Gwent. It got so popular in the community of playing Witcher that the developers were like, "Oh, well, we'll just make that its own separate game, and you can play that." So I think it would sell, to be completely honest. Like it would be the same as that of Blizzard's Hearthstone and things like that.
I
Yeah,
can see it.
I don't see why not. And with Respawn making these 3 new games, there's plenty of opportunities to sneak it in there as a trial run.
Yeah. Uh, Katie, I know we've talked a lot about video games and your lack thereof as far as like the story-based games. Eclipse was one that we were kind of going back and forth, and we said, hey, as maybe Matt could be the one to play the entire game through, and you just sit there, take notes, pay attention, stuff like that. Are you looking at these in enthusiasm because it's more Star Wars content, or would you be considering really playing through these?
I think the strategy game is really intriguing. I do just want to clarify something that everybody has kind of assumed that the Jedi series game they're talking about is in fact a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and they haven't specifically said it's Jedi Fallen Order 2. They just
There,
say the next game in the action adventure Star Wars Jedi series.
Yeah,
That's the exact terminology.
And there has been a lot of speculation on EA dropping something for the Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Very soon. We assumed that it would have been E3, but E3 has since canceled and has rumors of like not even returning at all, even in virtual for 2022.
Ooh.
So we as like the gaming community don't exactly know when it would drop, but there has been a lot of really big gaming conferences and stuff like that has been booming because of Jeff Keighley. He's been really big in all of that and really pushing that movement forward. So hopefully EA can get in contact with him and we get something soon.
Hopefully. My biggest concern, going back to Lego Skywalker Saga, it was originally supposed to release in December 2020. Y'all, video game developers, treat your developers right. Don't push them. Set out realistic expectations. Lego Skywalker Saga shouldn't have even like said it was releasing and had 2 years of delay, in my opinion. But so the only one I could really see playing just with this information is the strategy game, because I've liked some of that stuff. If anything's mobile, I've found myself much more apt to play a mobile game versus a console game. What was the other one? It was first person shooters, so like Battlefront or Call of Duty, and then the strategy, because I don't see playing the Jedi action adventure. So
yeah. I mean, we were just talking about delays. If this supposed Fallen Order sequel is delayed like 5 years, I'll wait. That's how much I love Fallen Order. That's exactly what I want out of my Star Wars expanded content like that. Now, Katie, I'm gonna have to disagree when it comes to the real-time strategy games, because every single year I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna try to get into the genre. I'm gonna try to do it, test out a new one, and each time I don't get it. That's just not how my brain works. It's just too difficult. Now, this first-person shooter, I think, provides maybe is the one I'm most curious about, because I'm not a huge fan of the newer Battlefront games due to their similarity to Battlefield. Yet I do love Titanfall. So I'm curious to see what kind of a game Respawn is going to make with this lens.
So again, over at the Geekverse Discord, we were talking about this as well. There was some real crazy callbacks to games that were as far back as, I would say, the Nintendo 64 and even like old school PlayStation and PC. The games that we were talking about, Shadow of the Empire. I don't know if that was something. James, I always make fun of Katie for being the runt of the family here at the GUA. James, how old are you?
So I am 25.
25. Okay, so y'all are around same age, but still old enough to remember at least the Nintendo 64. I would hope.
Yes.
Yeah. So Heir to the Empire was like the number one Star Wars game for Nintendo 64 in my household.
Right.
Wait, they made an Heir to the Empire game?
Shadow of the Empire. Did I say Heir to the Empire?
Okay. Yeah, you said Heir to the Empire. And I was like, wait,
Maybe.
Ron? What?
Shadows of the Empire was the Shadows of the Empire was the one that was so popular that when the new version of the Nintendo 64 or the restock started to push for like Christmas sales and stuff like that, they featured the game on the back of the box. Like that's when you know, like, oh, these are the games that you need to buy for the Nintendo 64. But even Travis Snell brought up a game that was called, I believe, Dark Forces, and it looked like your
Mm,
old school, like Duke Nukem, Doom esque. It
mhm.
was very pixelated, but it's all first person shooter.
Yeah.
If
Wow.
I think there is also a game, I have it on my wish list on PlayStation. It is the Clone Trooper Commander game. I always forget
Yeah.
the name of it.
Is it Republic Commando?
Yes,
Yeah.
Republic
Okay,
Commando.
there we go.
I always wanted to play that game. I remember the trailer vividly. I remember like a freaking like foaming at the mouth Wookiee going at you in the trailer, and like stormtroopers like shooting it up, and I was like, oh my god, this is so crazy. um I would be okay if there was a Doom or like Halo kind of feeling Star Wars game for
Mhm.
first person. I think that would be kind of cool.
Bethesda would be a great studio to work on Star Wars, do the work on Doom and Doom Eternal. So I would love to see them come into the fold, but Respawn more than has the gumption to handle this kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be interesting to see. James, you said you were talking about the strategy game.
Mhm.
I love logic puzzles. That's one of the biggest thing I have on my phone. So I
Right.
really enjoy strategy. So it could go both ways. But
Well, that's funny because you're saying that like Spider-Man PS4 is you're like that's a little too hard, but then you're talking about some of the most um
I don't
intelligence
know.
consuming games.
I guess my memory isn't the best, but like I could track things as long as like I'm able to like write stuff out. So like
Right.
the fact where you were like in Spider-Man having to like do like X triangle,
Mhm.
triangle, square, I get and you had to do that at certain times. I was just like,
Quick time events, they're the curse of every video game, to be completely honest.
Yes.
uh but I mean, is there any more about, any opinions on these three games? I am looking forward to any and all video game news. I will say
Mhm.
2022 has been stacked because of the amount of pushing that
yep.
each developer has been having to do due to COVID. But I hope that any and all of these games are treated as their priority, as well as not having any complications like that of a Lego Skywalker saga.
Yep, me too.
The last thing I got to say about the video games is that my dream Star Wars video game would be something kind of like Super Star Wars from the Super Nintendo.
Oh
Like
wow!
like a really fun, difficult side scroller. It'd be inexpensive. It would be a really good chance for an indie developer to kind of flex a cool retro art style.
You
But
know,
I'll just have to keep waiting, I guess.
I will say, James, recently indie titles have been really digging the side scrollers again. They've been digging
Awesome.
the 8-bit stuff a whole lot.
Mhm.
I would not be surprised if, even if it's like a small, like freaking $10 to $15 game, that some
Mhm.
of these bigger IPs are seeing the popularity in that, and just like, this will give us an extra, X amount of cash
Yeah,
Yeah.
in our revenue. So why not? I think that would be really, really cool. But
for
before we
sure.
move on into our last bit of news before the Book
Yep.
of Boba Fett review, let's go ahead and take our very first ad break. Of course, guys, we do not choose the ads. We do not choose how many times they repeat themselves, if they do. And we don't choose the volume. So please turn down that volume, and we will be right back. And we are back. So the last bit of news we got was a little bit of a jaw dropper. I was not expecting this. But I will say also, a little wink winked over there to Travis Snell. I think this person may be a little too popular for Star Wars, James, I will say Travis Snell is, of course, the host of the Geekverse YouTube channel here in the podcast network. He has told us that sometimes when it comes to high profile actors and actresses,
Mhm.
when they make an appearance on Star Wars, it kind of takes them out
Right.
of the feeling of Star Wars. So this casting we got for Ahsoka, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Obi-Wan Kenobi's wife, is going to
Obi-Wan Kenobi's
be
wife.
in Ahsoka. So if you just randomly see her, do you think she would be too recognizable? As she is. I'm not saying if
Mhm.
she's a Twi'lek or if she's any kind of other species in Star Wars. Do you think her as an actor, James, would she take you out of the world of Star Wars?
If I can suspend my disbelief for Bill Burr to be in the Star Wars universe as he is, then I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is just fine.
I think so as well. There has been a lot of speculation already on who she may be playing.
Hmm.
I am kind of in the boat of her playing Hera. I think that would be really, really cool for
Hmm.
her to play Hera from Rebels, of course. I think it was Katie you shared in the GWA chat. Somebody was like, "Oh, she would kind of look kind of like a younger Leia," and I
She
was like,
does.
Oh.
"That's kind of true." Like so what, Katie? Who do you think she could play?
It's probably more going to be a Hera, just specifically because of the storyline they're going for. Though we'll talk about it later because I did come up with a theory. But Ahsoka is supposed to be the hunt for Ezra and Thrawn. Finding Ezra after he was taken off with Thrawn with the Purgles at the end of Rebels in the Rebel season finale. So it's probably going to be more of a Hera because I don't expect there to be a reason for Leia to appear in that show. You could also kind of say, oh, okay, Leia and Ezra maybe had a bond, so that's possible because they really got along in their Rebels episodes. But I definitely think Hera or an original character because I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like, uh, I think potentially because we know the Book of Boba Fett, um, the Mandalorian, and Ahsoka are all supposed to wrap up in a big cumulative event facing down with Thrawn. That's the big rumor. That's what Kathleen Kennedy said the goal for these shows was to happen. So my thought process is for the Book of Boba Fett that the Pikes are working for Thrawn or some emissary of Thrawn. So like Winstead could potentially be working for Thrawn. She could just be somebody who has information. And I always say, that person has a little too much star profile to be used as a cameo. But so far, we haven't seen Danny Trejo appear back on screen. And goodness knows, at 3 o'clock in the morning when I saw that episode, I said, "That's Danny fucking Trejo!" Like, so
Well, now that you say somebody who could possibly working for Thrawn, who was it? And I am actually attempting to look at them very, very quickly
oh,
via Google.
one I saw was Jordan Mason tweeted a picture of her and Admiral Natasi Dalla from Star Wars Legends. And they do look very similar. Admiral Natasi Dalla is a phenomenal female Legends character. She worked for the Empire. She did a lot working with Tarkin. And was powerful in the Empire and kind of led the Imperial remnant. So she worked with a lot of super weapons. And so it would make sense to kind of make that connection with Thrawn if you wanted to bring that character in and kind of manipulate some of her history and legends. She's a great character. She goes on to become the leader of the Galactic Republic. In the end of Star Wars Legends until she's kicked out because she did some not so nice things. But Empire's gonna Empire. So I think she
True.
could be a really cool character to bring in working for Thrawn. And that would be a really great role for Winstead to just kind of continue on. So
Yeah. I don't remember her name specifically, but there is a female admiral, or not admiral, but general or captain that basically works alongside Thrawn for a good amount of the series that
Captain
had.
Pelion?
Is it Pelion? She has like the
Or
shorter hair.
oh no, she
No, no,
died. She died. She did.
did she,
The governor.
did she die? I don't know if
At
she
Price. What's her? Arinda Price.
Price. I think that is it. That rings a bell.
Sure.
Let's see here. Let me look. Google, people. We're doing it live.
No, I got the share. I got the share. This person.
Yes. Is she
Yeah.
dead?
She dead.
Damn it. I was like, you could kind of,
Ah.
maybe. But okay. If she's dead, then it's a no.
She
But
died at the end of Rebels.
I don't remember that.
Price
Was
was
it the
killed during the
explosion
final
that killed-
battle between the rebellion and Thrawn's forces, remaining loyal to the Empire to the end.
Huh. I'm gonna have to watch that last episode of Rebels then. Especially, I mean, with Ahsoka coming up. I do think this is going to be the Rebels reunion. Don't know if we will see Freddie Prinze Jr. show up in this in this show whatsoever. Which would be so weird. I think just like Ahsoka, though, you have to just recast for that role. Like you can't have, if you put Freddie Prinze Jr. in a Jedi robe and give him a wig to, or even buzz his head and give him a goatee or something to make him look like freaking his character on Rebels, I just like, it just would look weird. It would look weird any way you attempt to do it for Freddie Prinze Jr. I'm sorry, he's just too old.
That being said, I kind of want to see it.
just for them to attempt to do it.
I want to see, they can take it back if they want to, but I just want to see them try just so we can get that image.
Like, you know what? That was a mistake. Almost like how they did Luke Skywalker and the whole CGI, de-aging. They're like, you know what? Maybe we should hire that dude from YouTube. He could he could fix some things out, round some edges a bit.
Yeah.
But I think that she would be amazing as Hera. I loved Hera in Rebels. I think she was very much the glue in that series. She was a hardhead as well as a captain, and she had all of the traits of a leader. And I would like to see that come back around, especially in live action.
I think my biggest thing with potentially casting her as Hera is a lot of the Rebels cast were typecast as people of color. So Hera was like,
that is true.
I can't think of the exact name, but like Twi'leks are oftentimes like the African spin, and like she's got a little bit of French in her because that's where the Twi'lek accent came from. It's a French accent. So Sabine has been cast as West Asian, I think, East Asian.
I think so.
Something. So Hera, if Hera appears, I'd like to see Hera kind of cast appropriately. But I think Natasha Dalla is a great option. I wrote this article for BAM Entertainment, and she was one of the characters that I wanted to see come to live action because she's just such a great, powerful character. She fits into the storyline that's happening, so could go either way.
Yeah.
We will wait. I believe I shared this in the G-Way chat. It is said for the filming of Ahsoka to officially start in spring, so in like 2 months, right?
Yeah. So Mandalorian season 3 has to finish, and then Ahsoka is supposed to take over that stage process. That was actually what I was gonna say, Clay. So yeah, that's basically all we have. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm still really hoping that we get like a official cast list like we did for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that was a great decision for Lucasfilm to do. It kept a lot of people from going, okay, is this person actually in this show? Like, yes, here they are on a silver platter.
Yeah.
So it'd be really nice to see. And like the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing didn't even like share who they were going to be playing. Obviously, you knew like Hayden Christensen, Anakin, Darth Vader, but it doesn't have to be like that.
So. When did we get that? Do you remember?
So they started filming and we got that almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like, I think we got it like a day after they started filming.
Holy crap, that feels like so long ago.
Mhm.
You know.
I mean, I feel like everybody says this all the time now, just because it's like getting so close to those days. I'm just like, drop it on Celebration, drop it on May the 4th. You know, just the obvious days. Just give us information, because you didn't give us any information on Disney Plus Day.
No, you didn't.
I'm still gonna be salty
None.
about it. Still gonna be salty about it. But with that, I think that is it for the news. I feel like this discussion for the Book of Boba Fett will, in fact, go a little long. So let's go
Okay.
ahead and take our ad break now, and then we will
Awesome.
compensate for if we need a third one. So, guys, remember, we don't choose the ads or the volume or how many times they repeat, but we will be right back. And we are back. So, spoiler-free thoughts. It is really difficult for the Book of Boba Fett and this episode to be spoiler-free thoughts.
From frame one, it's all spoilers.
It really is, though. I will say this. I kind of like trolled the GV chat immediately after the episode finished at 3 a.m. this morning. And I was like, I wonder how many people are gonna say this is their favorite episode of the Book of Boba Fett, you know. And we'll talk a little bit more in depth about that for sure. But my spoiler-free thoughts is I was not expecting this to go the route that it did. I absolutely loved it. Freaking Bryce Dallas Howard, give her anything and everything. I think she deserves it. If she needs to have her own show, give it to her. So there's that. And I will say, again, guys, there's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt. So it's just all good. It's so good. But James, you're the guest. So how you go ahead and go first.
Listen, it's not what I expected at all. And I don't like it for the same reasons that I liked the first 4 episodes. However, when it comes to live action Star Wars, you're just not going to get much better than this. It was incredibly made. I believe in Bryce Dallas Howard's supremacy. Give her all the Star Wars from now on, because this was... I can't say anymore because it's all spoilers. But yeah, this was awesome. I was up at like 2 a.m. my time watching the episode, and I was tired going into it. And by the end, I was jumping up and down, pumping my fist up in the air, and that's how I like to feel after watching some good Star Wars.
Yeah.
100%. Katie, what about you?
So for me, I'm gonna quote my review directly. Is the Book of Boba Fett has always been portrayed as book 2.5 of The Mandalorian. So while this episode may feel like part of a different show, it's meant to. And this truly is the best of Star Wars right here, y'all. Truly the best of Star Wars.
Guys, I was just going to say, if you have not watched the show yet, and for some reason don't want to watch it before you listen to this, go find Katie's article about this. Has an awesome recap and an awesome review. Really great job, Katie. I really did enjoy it. But let's jump into spoiler-filled thoughts. James, just like you, I turned this. I'm sitting here at my computer at 2 a.m. Turned it to full screen. You see I love the intro to the Star Wars shows. I absolutely do. You see the generic Star Wars logo, and then you just see this meat factory. And at first, I will say, I was like, this is not Star Wars. Like, just the meat factory in itself. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then you see freaking Din Djarin just walk through that door, and I sat immediately up. There was no like, oh, I wonder when things are gonna start popping. Nope, I am done questioning everything. My attention is now on the screen. Let's go.
He
And
literally, y'all, I woke up late this morning. So I woke up, I got out of bed at like 3:05, went to the bathroom, and I looked at Twitter, and the first thing I see is "fuck yeah" from Clay. It was like
I was still watching the show, and on my other screen, I just like "fuck yes." And I want to address this right now. Joe is saying in the chat, "Oh, you mean the first episode of The Mandalorian season 3?" Guys, just like Katie's article said, this kind of feels like its own separate show. It feels like a different show that we've already seen before, but it's supposed to. As much as there was a fan base before Din Djarin, they started this series of Star Wars with Din Djarin. There is a brand new fan base around it. He is the one that brings the hype. Like, I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. And I am okay with that. I am, and I'm not saying that we need to push all of the Boba Fett fans away. No, I'm saying that because they decided to go this route, he's our leading man. Boba Fett was never meant to be the leading man. He's only a part of the story. And so to see him in all of his glory, in all of the Beskar, I was just like, this is so effing amazing. And I will admit, there came a time where I was like, all right, anytime now, we're just going to see Boba Fett. We're going to see Boba Fett. And then there came a time where I didn't even think about it. I was just so drawn in to what was happening, to all of the Easter eggs, to the cameos. I was just like, holy crap. Okay, we're really doing this. Cool. And go ahead.
So y'all, just to kind of like reiterate what Clay has said, so I've been getting up at 3 a.m. every Wednesday to do the recaps since episode 2. My recaps, last week's recap got 82 views on it as of about 5 minutes before we started podcasting, y'all. When we started podcasting, my episode 5 recap is at almost 6,000 views.
Never seen anything like it.
Djarin is here, and it's absolutely insane. Yes, Joe, it is called The Book of Boba Fett, but it is in fact The Mandalorian Chapter 2 Book 2.5 because the cast thought they were filming Mandalorian season 3 when they thought they were filming Mandalorian season 3 for like 2 weeks until they were told.
I am pretty sure we have all read a book in our lifetime. We have all played a video game in our lifetime. We have all seen a movie in our lifetime. Tell me that there has not been a time where we move away from the plot to go into a different direction to explore the world. This is just a part of the story. We've always known this. And the story started, technically, with A New Hope. But in this story, it was The Mandalorian. This is always where it's been. And yes, Boba Fett is the lead for this show. But we knew with the music that came around at the end of last episode, they're going to bring Mando for something. And you don't bring the hype man without all the hype. Exactly. So you can't just bring him to be like, yes, I understand. You very much could. You very much could have been like, okay, Din Djarin's going to be here for one mission. He's going to go on a separate way. He's going to allude to something that's going to happen in season 3 of his own show. And then he's off around his merry way. But there is something said specifically at the end of this episode that I'll go ahead and address right now. He goes and sees, Fennec sees him. And he's like, okay, well, it's on me. I'll do this for free. But first I have something to do.
So who do y'all think that is?
He's going to go on to season 3 of Mandalorian. I think the building of the muscle for the Book of Boba Fett right now is building up to season 2. I think that's what it is. Yes, there's going to
be a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett.
I do think there is going to be a season 2. I think that your next, this was episode 5, so you have 3 more episodes. I think your next, I thought it was 8 episodes.
No, it's 2 more.
It's only
Oh
7?
no.
Okay. So I think with your 2 episodes that you have left, you get possibly a confrontation with the Pikes with a big draw dropping moment. You only need 2 episodes with that. That's all you
Mhm,
need. And that is either the confrontation with that of Akira or a Han Solo.
mhm.
That's how you end season 1.
So I almost kind of feel like the next episode could be a parallel story between Boba and Din, and that they could possibly meet up in the finale. But I can totally see this just building up for the next season of Book of Boba Fett season 2.
Mhm.
However, like we said, this is basically the Mandalorian season 2.5, and that's also why focusing so much on Din doesn't bother me so much, because it's not as if it's not as if the character is being crowbarred in here. I mean, it's the same creative team across everything. It's
Yeah.
one continuous big story, and I was happy to see him, especially with him in that weird meat factory you brought up, pulling out the dark saber and
Okay,
showing us what he could do.
I love
I
the fact that he can't do shit with it. I love it. Because no, because like you always get the cliche, oh, I got this brand new weapon and I'm already a badass with it. Like
Uh-huh.
this dude has not held a saber or a lightsaber like ever. So
Mhm.
why would he automatically just have all of this experience with it? No, he's learning, and I do enjoy that. When he freaking seared his leg, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like
Mhm.
it was so intense. And again, I will say, as much crap as Travis was giving this show, he loved this episode because it's our boy Mandalorian.
Mhm.
But he is the new bounty hunter. He is the one that is the Mandalorian. He, well, not anymore apparently, but I
We'll get to that.
I completely agree with how people feel when it comes to this man showing up on screen. Pedro Pascal, like he puts on the hype for this series and for this franchise so far. It was people who were very much divided, and you can talk to Nathan. I saw him at the very beginning of this in this chat. He says right here, pretty messed up that the best episode of Book of Boba Fett didn't even have him in the entire episode, because there is people that were divided with the sequel trilogy, and then that episode 1 of Mandalorian dropped and people were
Mhm.
like, holy crap, what is this? Like people almost thought like, holy crap, this is like Boba Fett but not Boba Fett. And
Mhm.
people just fell in love with this character, and that's okay. People can fall in love with new characters. It's a-okay. um but
I did laugh at everyone this morning after the reaction, and they were like, "So who's gonna tell the intern he uploaded the wrong episode?" I was dying laughing at that.
there has actually been some people that are pretty salty at the fact that there wasn't Boba Fett in this episode. And I get it. I understand. But at the same time, I also understand that, you have to remind people, hey, it has been a while since season 2, and we promise we're working on it. We're promised that we are still telling a bigger story, because it very much feels like, yes, we're in the Book of Boba Fett, but there is something bigger going to happen. Like with everything that has been leading up to this, I do think there will eventually be that promised crossover
Yep.
between Ahsoka, Mandalorian, and Boba Fett. And whoever else joins the plethora of Star Wars characters that we've been seeing
Bo-Katan.
on the small screen. Exactly. Um, but
So okay, we gotta jump to it. My girl Emily Swallow, the armorer, love
Mhm.
her, absolutely love her. She's badass.
I always just, as soon as I hear that voice, I'm just like, oh man, I miss Supernatural so much.
Yep.
Uh but this was also kind of like, so we all know what happened in The Mandalorian.
Mhm.
Their clan basically was wiped out, and they even say it here, there's only 3 of us left. And dude, as soon as Din grabs that dark saber, you see that other Mandalorian just stare at it, and oh fuck, what's gonna happen here? You know that this motherfucker is probably just gonna be like, nope, that's mine. It's all mine. I'm the ruler of Mandalore.
Fun fact: Paz Vizsla is voiced by Jon Favreau.
Yes, he is.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found that out today.
I was trying to place that voice like the entire episode.
So he actually voices pre Vizsla in the Clone Wars, and so that it's harkening back to that role. As Bub says, she should have told Mando that what he did wasn't the way.
Yes. So what ends up happening is she does end up before we get to that specific moment that he's talking about, Din finds them through some information that he gets from somebody who hired him, from that bounty that he collected at the very beginning of the episode. He finds them, he shows them the darksaber. He's able to train a little bit with the darksaber. That is when the other Mandalorian is like, hey, that was actually forged by my ancestors. It really belongs to me. I want to fight you for it. Mando accepts the duel and they go at it. And at the end, instead of striking him down, the armorer says, hey, have you ever taken your helmet off? He says, no, never. Okay, have you ever had somebody else take it off? No, never. And then she looks at Din. Have you ever taken off your helmet? And I want to ask you guys. He has. But I want to ask you guys, why didn't he lie?
Because I think Din is just a fundamentally, at least through his journeys, he's a very honorable, good person, which is weird to say about a bounty hunter of his caliber. But he has his own internal code that may be a little separate from his particular clan.
But he also takes the word of Mando's, the vow very seriously. He's always taken it seriously, even when, like, the two times that he took off his helmet were very circumstantial. The very first time, of course, he was about to die, and I can never remember the droid's number. Was talking to him. He's like, well, I'm not human, so you're good to go. You can take off your helmet if you need to.
IG-10?
Was it 10?
There we go.
I
it wasn't IG-88. IG-88's like the legit bounty hunter.
Yeah.
It was IG-10 or 11, one of the two.
And then the second time was that very emotional reveal of his face. Well, technically three times. Three times. Yeah. I forgot about the time when they were over
he takes it off with the droid, the stormtrooper when he has to have a facial scan to get the information he's looking for, and then the emotional,
and then the one with Grogu. So 3 times. SPub says it was IG-11. So he's taken it off 3 times. I understand that, but at the same time, it's just like, how are you gonna know? How you gonna know?
Well, and I think it boils down to, because like in this whole sequence, because we're with the armorer and Paz Vizsla for probably like 20-25 minutes. And so we get like an awesome history lesson. They talk about the Mythosaur again, which is a reference back to season 1, which is a reference to Star Wars Legends. And she takes the Beskar saber, the Beskar spear, and melts it down into, I think, like a chain link Beskar armor for Grogu. I think. But we get
what do you guys think it is, though? So because he has the whole conversation, oh, he's with his own people. She's like, oh, well, they can't form attachments. He's like, oh, but I want to see him. I want to make sure he's okay. He's my buddy. He's my child. He's my homie.
And that's the creed.
And that's when I meant when he said he does take this stuff seriously, because he's like, oh, well, that's the complete opposite of what we do. Solidarity. And what was the other word? I
loyalty and solidarity.
Yeah, loyalty and solidarity is our vow. And she's like, well, what do you want for the youngling Grogu? And he says, does he say armor, or does he?
He doesn't say anything.
He doesn't. He doesn't say anything, and then it just goes to her burning the Beskar spear. So you get a quick glimpse of what looks like chainmail hitting the table or whatever it is that she is forging it onto. And then ironically, the little knapsack
Looks like Grogu's
looks like
head.
Grogu's head. Very, very cute. I was looking up Jedi chainmail, Jedi armor. There has never been, outside of like just fan art, legit chainmail for Jedis. And I'm trying to picture Grogu with like the chainmail like helmet headdress and like this big thing of chainmail, just him wobbling with it. I don't know
Because that
what
was a lot of Beskar.
it was.
Yeah.
I don't know what this will be. Taylor even said on their review, he would have expected it to be like a lightsaber hilt. That would have been kind of cool. If that's possibly something that could have happened. But I don't know. I honestly don't know what it could be.
I don't know, but I'm definitely thinking like some sort of chainmail. But like just the history lesson we get in here, and everybody can say, "Oh, that should have been last season" or whatever. Yeah, that time probably could have been spent better, where that was leading in a different direction. But to get that history lesson and to see the droids like the K2SO, I was like, man, I want to fight K2SO now, and like I love K2SO in Rogue One.
It looked
So-
like Terminator mixed with Star Wars. It was terrifying.
Yes.
Even like the bombs and how you see like the outline of a Mandalorian just basically getting disintegrated, and then you see the helmet graveyard at the very end of it. Like I'm just so surprised at how Bryce Dallas Howard was able to like visually just like do all of that. It looked
give
amazing.
her all the things.
Yes. I suggested on the GUA chat possibly give her Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
And have her do the rumored show that is possibly in development right now. So we get all that.
I really like, sorry, one more thing. I really like how we talked about how Jaren doesn't do well with the dark saber, but in his fight with Vizsla actually manages to knock the saber out of his hand and get it, and is like, and now you meet your end. And Jaren all of a sudden is just, yeah, and Jaren's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass now, like. And like,
now that I don't
wins.
have all this weight of the saber on me,
he's like,
I
throw
think
that shit away.
I think it's very interesting the way that the lightsaber has like a life of its own in the sense of the weight of the saber that it puts onto people. Because you saw it with Din Djarin, you saw it with what was his name? The one he was.
Sabine has a problem.
Sabine had a problem with it as
yeah.
well. Yeah. So I thought that was very, very cool. The planet that they were on, I just recently just beat Halo Infinite, so I was like, why is he on a Halo ring?
That's what Matt said. I was really confused.
It also reminded me, if anybody has watched the Disney movie Treasure Planet, it looked like the moon on there. So I was like, oh, this is so freaking cool. I love how like the way it rotates, like you get sunlight or whatever every like 15 minutes or so. So that was visually like just beautiful within itself. But because of that fight and because of the answer that Din Djarin gives, that he has taken off his helmet, he is no longer a Mandalorian in their eyes, and the only way to basically redeem himself is to go to Mandalore, or no, not Mandalore. It was
he would have to bathe in the waters under the Mandalorian mines, which mines no longer exist.
Yeah,
convenient, very convenient.
Yeah. So he just goes off, and of course he's off to. I think he is determined to find some way to redeem himself, because like you guys said, he honors this code and he wants to be there because they were always there for him.
Right. I just find it interesting though, because we leave him with Bo-Katan, the other wrestler cries,
Sasha Banks.
I can't think. Yeah, Sasha Banks' character. Cara Dune, obviously, which obviously she's not coming back. Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. They're all on Moff Gideon's Imperial cruiser. So how did Jaren get here, especially because he doesn't have a Razor Crest? What happened to Bo-Katan? That because she was furious he had won the Darksaber. She was like, no, I was supposed to defeat him and get it. And so it's it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because for me, his little friend at the end, I think we're gonna see Bo-Katan next episode, and we're gonna get a conjoined, like you said, James, where we get Boba Fett and then we get Jaren, and though we kind of split the episode, and then from there we get the final episode. Because, like, with the way they just put it as the Mandalorian book 2.5, I don't see getting a season 2. I don't see it. Like, I think Boba Fett is something's gonna happen where Boba has to leave Tatooine, and he just is along for the rest of the ride with the Mandalorian.
Okay.
I can really see it going either way at this point, because so much of the Book of Boba Fett has been self-contained up to this point that it seems like the way we're leading is, Boba Fett implementing the way of the Tusken Raider tribe that he had spent so much time with into Tatooine and defeating the Pike Syndicate. But I don't know. This episode in particular packed in about a season's worth of content in a way that didn't even feel overwhelming. It just felt thrilling. So now my entire perception of what this series is, what its place is in this grand narrative, is completely washed away.
Yeah.
But other than that, he goes to, of course, Tatooine.
And he has to take the starter liner where he has to turn over all his weapons. And I was laughing at all that.
I was laughing at all of that. It's a very classic cliche of like the one badass having to drop all of his weapons.
Yeah.
But when he got to Tatooine, I was really expecting something to be missing. I don't know what exactly it would have been, but I thought that something would have been missing, and then he would have been like, oh crap. And then that would veer him away from Tatooine. And then we would, again, because my mind would immediately remember, oh wait, this is still the Book of Boba Fett. Probably we're going to get Boba Fett here. But we didn't. It was all Din Djarin's Mandalorian. But he goes and he visits, I love how Geekverse has dubbed her Miss Frizzle. And she has found a very familiar ship for him. This is so freaking sweet. Now, I will say he has swapped out a very nice, cargo ship for a very tight sitting freaking starfighter. How do you guys feel about this change with how big the Razor Crest was to what he now has?
I mean, as a diehard fan of the prequels, I was screaming. It was everything I wanted.
I looked at it and I was like, is she about to show him a pod racer, like Anakin's pod racer?
It almost looked like it. And I just had I keep forgetting the actor's name, but I just had the line stuck in my head. Now this is pod racing.
Jake Lloyd.
I was like, is this gonna be like a weird amalgam of a pod racer and a ship? Like, what is this? And then when you see the full body, I was like, oh, I know that ship. I know that ship. And also, there's a little cameo in here of a certain droid. If anybody has played the Fallen Order, of course, I don't think it is BD1, but it is a BD unit, series. And as soon as I saw him, I like melted. I was like, oh, it's BD. And then there's moments where he is helping Mando build the ship. And the one thing that I absolutely love to do in Fallen Order when I'm just playing casually, when I like go up to grab a drink from playing or something, I will come back and I will just sit and stare at the screen because you will see BD just doing some of the just most random stuff. And here he like did a little dance with his little legs, and I was like, this is so adorable. I need a BD unit. I want one. I got Brent, our co-host for Marvel Alliance, I got him a little excited just to kill his dreams when I thought a BD unit was available to build at Disney World, and in fact it wasn't. So I'm sorry, Brent. But
Sorry, Brent.
it should be available to build. But yeah, he gives this ship a whole new paint job. She convinces Mando to actually take it. He takes it on a awesome test drive through the pod racing freaking caverns and everything. Like it was so nostalgic. It got me all giddy. I was smiling through the entire thing. Now we got another cameo here when he goes off into the outer reaches of this planet.
Paul sunk him.
So I suggested to Travis and Taylor that this may be him, because people were like, oh yeah, he's been in the other shows, whatever. I think this is just another obligation through contract, because he was rumored to have his own show in the Rangers of the Republic, or the, I can't remember.
Yeah, Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah, Rangers of the New Republic, excuse me. And I do think that, like, okay, we spent all of this money on you and we can't just like throw you away because you're actually really good talent. We're just going to keep throwing you into these random episodes. And I'm totally okay with it. I know that
I am too.
We always complain about how Star Wars is a much bigger galaxy and we need to see bigger parts of that galaxy. But just conveniently, this one person is just everywhere when it comes to Disney Plus shows. It's great. But just the power that is shown through this new ship that Din Djarin has is great. I love it.
Oh, is that the case? Joe says the other pilot was the body double for Luke and Mando.
Whoa.
I didn't pay that close attention.
The more you know.
He looks. I didn't. Obviously, I couldn't tell really with the hair or with the helmet covering the hair, but like when you look at the behind the scenes content.
Oh, that's funny. S-Bubs and Joe said it at the exact same time. It says exactly the exact same time. Y'all dropped it. That's hilarious.
Nice.
Good job, y'all.
But
go ahead, James.
Sorry. Going off of this sequence with his new ship. This has to be the best a TV show has ever looked. And I don't say that with hyperbole, but we're at a point where the budget, well, I don't even know how high the budget was, but from the Ring City to this big sequence, I have never, and I hope I will continue to see a show feel this visceral and real and comparable to what you'd see on the big screen. I'm still in awe. I mean, it looks very much even better in some regards to some of the sequel trilogy stuff.
One of my favorite shots in this sequence is when the two Rangers are like coming up, like right when he is starting to hear them connect via comms. He's like, I can't remember the phrase that he uses, but it's a down below shot from the very front of the ship inside the cockpit. And you just see him going side to side, spinning outside in space. And it's gorgeous. Like just the shine of the Beskar with how they were able to really blend that green screen in. It looked so good.
So good.
It looks so good. I 100% agree with you, James. The quality that this content has become is immaculate. I absolutely loved it. S-Pub says this episode was probably about $20 million or more. I would agree. I would 100% agree. I think that when it comes to The Mandalorian and not necessarily Boba Fett, but I mean, it's all within the same pocket.
Yeah.
I think that they are probably right below what the Marvel Disney Plus has been.
Yeah.
Which is closer to what I think we've seen be like $350 million or something like that,
Yeah.
like per
Mhm.
season. So I could see them really pushing that budget for stuff like this for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With those Marvel shows, there's still kind of a sense that yes, I'm watching a TV show. But with this, yeah, I was swept away, y'all. It reminded me of how far we've come in TV, because Game of Thrones used to be the big high watermark for how TV could look, and this
Yeah.
makes that look antiquated by comparison.
Absolutely. Every moment in this episode, I felt like I was along for the ride. Like I felt like I was on the back of Mando's shoulder the whole time. Like
Mhm.
you just felt engrossed in every scene you were in. And that speaks volumes for the cinematographer as well as Bryce Dallas Howard's capabilities. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
SPUB says Mando season 1, each episode was 15 million. So I'm assuming the budget is increased due to the success of the past seasons. Very much, very much. I could totally agree with that. But we end this episode with, like we said, I want to say confrontation, but it's uh, the talk between Finnick and Din Djarin, alluding at the fact that they are going to be hiring him. He's doing it for free, but he says, and I think people need to understand that phrasing. He says, "But first, I need to do something."
Mhm.
So
he said,
I,
but first I need to go see a little friend.
yeah. So I do think that little friend is Grogu. Like
But how do you know where Grogu is?
they're
Because
going to.
Luke and Grogu completely walk off screen before, and you just see Pedro Pascal with tears running down his face, and they're gone.
Hey, Luke just took his son. He's got to drop like a tracker or something on Grogu. You know, it's not gonna be like, because I know when it comes to continuity, when it comes to timelines and everything else, me and Katie complain about this stuff the most. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense, we're gonna say something about it. So I know we're gonna say something about it, but I'm willing to wait and see. So far, the Mandalorian show has not steered me wrong. When it comes to storytelling, when it comes, the only thing that I like, Taika Waititi's episode at the end of season 1 was
Mhm.
for me when it came to the humor, but everything else just
Mhm.
hit great. Um, I am super excited for what's to come. We have 2 more episodes left on the Book of Boba Fett. Just remind everybody, I'm not going to be here for the next episode because I am
Mhm.
moving.
But
But
the
I will.
illustrious Joe, who is in the chat, will be here next week.
Yes, he will be here
Hey.
talking about the penultimate episode where I will keep saying it until it is come true. We will see Kira, or we will see Han, or we will see Lando. I think one of the trilogy from Solo is going to show up because there's always that rumored show from Lando, or that
Very
announced
true.
and not in development show from Lando. I don't even know what they are calling it at this point.
Yeah.
But we will see. James, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us. It has been a great conversation.
Absolutely.
Where can everybody find you on any kind of social media or whatnot?
Yeah, so everyone can find me at Twitter on my @ is at James P Poole. That's Poole. To read some of my writing, go to fullcirclecinema.com. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank y'all so much for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, very, very fun.
Yes.
Of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay. Linktree in the bio of my Twitter. All the shows that I host: DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, Star Wars Alliance. Yeah, that's all 4, right? Yeah, all 4.
All
So,
4 of your 8, 9 shows.
I, of course, remember, guys, review us on Apple Podcasts. Get that omnibus that is out of print. Send us the screenshots. It helps with the algorithm. It helps people find us. And if you don't use Apple, I completely understand. I don't technically use them. So if you want to, you can always just go to Spotify, give us 5 stars or
Yep.
less. but tell us why. You know,
Tell us why.
we will have that conversation here on the show. We don't mind it whatsoever. Katie, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Twitter. It's at Slice of Katie. You can also find my Instagram at Slice of Katie as well. James, I will leave all your stuff linked in the description box below. So I'll leave your writer's profile as well as your Twitter. So if you didn't catch any of those, I also leave Clay's Twitter. So you don't have to worry about that. Just go find them in the description box below, y'all. You can find Star Wars Alliance on Twitter. It's at Star Wars Alliance without the A in the wars. We did drop 2 episodes this week. So on Monday, if you missed it, you can scroll back in the feed if you're on the GUA or the Star Wars Alliance feed, and find the Fallen Star review, which is the 3rd book in the High Republic adult series. So that was a great conversation Clay and I had. We look forward to Midnight Horizon coming out next week because that should be interesting.
Yes.
Clay, did you know that it is 484 pages?
What?
Yes.
That's longer than the freaking
Right?
Star. How? I'm telling you.
I don't know.
I told you this was more of an epilogue, and this will. There's shit's about to go down. Like
Shit's about to go down. But y'all, I will be here next week with Joe, and we will be talking Book of Boba Fett, episode 6, and whatever news hits our deck. So make sure you're back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And y'all, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We had a lot of people in the chat today. It was great. And I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you're listening or watching. And we will see y'all next time. May the Force be with you.